settled for considerably less than we're putting up on initial report. So, that is still, the estimate is still holding that, that may come in a little bit higher than the 5 or 6, that we've put out there to reinsurers, but we're holding enough now for that. Uri is sitting at almost our full, ultimate. It's sitting at 27.4, and we're holding like 27.8. So, we're going to have a look at that when we have the data from the quarter 3. But again, as of the timing of this using historicals, we've seen nearly all claims at this point from past storms. So we probably shouldn't be getting any real pure IBNR. It should just be development on either good or bad on losses that are already in the system. So, we're pretty close on those. CAT updates, we're tracking, very good too on the large events. We're tracking pretty well to where we thought, we've talked about Sally before. So there was that one big commercial claim that we've talked about earlier in this meeting. So I won't go into that unless people want to bring that up again. But, I think the big cats we're tracking pretty well to where we expected, or even a little bit positive.
Okay, Missy, that's a helpful update. Thank you. It'd be really even more helpful, I think, if looking at the report in the data room, it's purely incurred data. It doesn't tell us what our ultimate claim estimate is. You clearly have that information because that's what you were just speaking to. But if we could incorporate that in the reports next time, that would be helpful. Thank you. Adam, Liz, anything you wanted to ask further about cats? No? Okay. Then the FHCF audits.
Michelle, you want this or you want me to do it?
I can speak to them.
Okay.
The contract year 2019 direct exposure audit that was closed. Contract year 2020, we had to do a resubmission of the data file, which was done yesterday. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. The contract year 2017 claims audit, Hurricane Irma. That was, we got the examiner's audit findings. So he had requested further detail on some of the audit finding items, which we provided. So he's now reviewing them, and then he will submit his findings to the FHCF, and then we'll get their examination report.
A little bit in addition to that as well, we have incorporated the preliminary claims exam in the latest IRMA submission, which did have to be resubmitted, but we got that corrected without any penalty. So that has gone in. We do have IRMA payments coming. Their disbursements are based on a paid basis, as you can imagine. So we are still sitting in an increase in, paid position, and we still have some, sitting in IRMA. So we should, kind of continue with that. But, they said that would come in next Wednesday. So that should go into next quarter. But, that we have incorporated to the best extent we can from the preliminary claims exam into that latest submission. So.
Thank you. Is there any other questions? Let's move on to the ERM report.
The ERM we met with last week, I think Michelle went through and you've got the updates in red, right? Mm-hmm. And there, I don't think there were any dramatic changes whatsoever, just continue to tweak. And I think the only thing we were talking about was kind of this emerging risks. I think we're going to probably we thought we might, we were putting some comments in there. I'm sure it'll continue to expand as we think more about it, but we also might move some of that, like the pandemic. We have that kind of in HR. We have it in IT. Like, it might get moved more. This was policy. So we might kind of reallocate it as we kind of think through more. So.
Yeah, I thought it was a good on that, Deanne. Thank you. And who, since Brian has departed, who sort of overall coordinates responsibility for this review?
Michelle and myself are taking it over at the moment.
Okay, no point, because it was one of the items that was open from the minutes. We said you were keen to find out who. You've answered it. Thank you. Okay. Conflicts of interest. I mean, we talked about that at the last board meeting. Is there something new to say here, or is that?
Actually, I think this was left over. I think, did we get the conflict of interest already? Okay, because I think Michelle and I were going back and forth on that, whether we got them, but I think that was just left over. No other items.
Okay. Have you heard anything from Dematec lately?
Nothing. I've had no communication from Dematec. They requested 2 data calls regarding Hurricane Ida claims, and that's the only communication I've had from anyone at Dematec.
Okay, I suggest we keep our head down. I can't see any point in poking that bear. Citizens property audit, Michelle?
We continue to get those audits, and we have no adverse trends with them, no adverse results.
Okay, thank you. Which brings us to the last item of substance, which is the corporate reorganisation.
I'll give an overview, and Michelle has a kind of a detailed update. But basically, we, obviously, Texas, we're waiting for Texas to approve the redomestication. So, with the SAP 72, and I think the update to the $15 million in surplus and Weston Specialty, we're waiting for them, and I think kind of anxiously waiting for them to approve that. Once they approve that, Florida's already approved it. And we've already signed the consent orders on our side for Florida for both the redomestication and the merger, and the renaming of the Western Property and Casualty Insurance Company. So I think that the Texas is the piece that, we're waiting for, and then everything else will start flowing. So I know Ben and Michelle have probably more updates, but that's kind of where we're at. So I think once we get that Texas approval, it'll start flowing within days, right?
Yeah, it will start triggering filings and documentation that we need to start preparing and providing and submitting to the OIR. So there's documentation within 10 days, within 15 days, within 30 days, items that we need to start preparing and executing and submitting. We need to submit for the name change to the various states for WISIC, for the name change to Western Property and Casualty Insurance Company. So we have a lot of timing events that we need to comply with and meet within the next 30 days.
But I don't think there's any concern. I mean, and Ben, I think we're pretty much on top of it. I think the expectation is still that the merger will be done before the year end. Unless Texas just dramatically delays their approval, but I don't see them doing that.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if we didn't hear something back from Texas by end of the week, beginning of next week. And then, as Michelle said, that triggers our OIR consent orders to begin rolling. Even though it is mid-November now, this is going to be a before the end of the year thing. We're that close.
Okay, well, I think you have our full sort of support and encouragement to get it done. I think if it looks like TDI are dragging their heels, then, we need to, in the right way, try and get some pressure applied, because this will be, from an audit perspective, a nightmare if we still have to do 2 audits. So thank you. Okay. in terms of 2022 audit dates, Rachel, I mean, maybe you would just circulate suggested dates based on kind of the equivalent of what we have